In this video, we're going to show you how to install the response trigger kit onto your Tippmann 98 Custom Platinum Series. I'm first going to start off by opening up the kit and doing some parts identification. Okay, in this kit, you're going to have a couple different parts here. You're going to have your external gas line for your response trigger. It'll have a banjo fitting, the gas line tube, and the flow control adapter. You also have a screwdriver to make your adjustments on the flow control adapter. And you'll also have a small bag in here with some parts. And we'll actually pull these parts out and show them to you. You have a thicker tube here, and that thicker tube is actually for the install on a project salvo, which in this case we don't need. You also have a spring. It has two loops on it. The loops are kind of hard to see. I'll try to roll the spring for you just so you can kind of see those loops. And then you have a straight spring. Okay, the spring with the two loops on it, that's actually for the older 98 Customs. Anything, before 800,000 and up. So anything prior to that would use this spring. And in this case, we have a Platinum Series, so we will not be needing this spring. And then you have your stiffer sear spring for your response trigger. All right, this sear spring is stiffer. It's going to allow that rear bolt and sear to catch properly every single time. It'll also somewhat extend the life of your rear bolt and sear when you install this. And then you also have your response trigger piston. Okay, you have your piston, and you can see once you pull that out, it's lubricated with just either a Dow 33 or a white lithium grease. And then you have your instructions. Your instructions, it goes over troubleshooting, and maintenance, and also how to install the kit, which we won't be needing in this video because I'll be showing you. Okay, we'll go ahead and put our parts off to the side and get our marker ready for the install. We're going to go ahead and remove our barrel just so we got a little bit more room to work with. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and remove our receiver bolts. Go ahead and pull our receiver off, and you can kind of see my end cap there is starting to come out. That's okay. We'll go ahead and remove our end cap, and we'll remove our springs, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to knock out this little circular part so we can access our RT piston. So I'm just going to remove the springs so that when we're trying to knock this part out, none of those springs are going to fly out at you. So what you're going to use to knock this out is just a hammer and a punch. If you don't have a punch available, and if you're not sure what a punch is, this is a punch. If you don't have one of these available, you can use a flathead screwdriver and punch this little circular part out. It's going to be real easy to do. Usually only takes one tap and it's out. And you can see my sear popped out of place. That's the whole reason we took those springs out. If you were to try and knock that piece out with those springs in there, they would just fly everywhere. And then you can kind of see that little part that we just knocked out there. So we'll go ahead and get that off to the side. And then we'll go ahead and we'll install our RT piston. And then we'll also install our new spring that came with the RT kit. And we're going to go ahead and reinstall our trigger spring that we removed. And then from there we're going to reinstall our drive spring and our ACT spring. You want to make sure that the longer section goes into the rear bolt first. And then go ahead and make sure you get this ACT spring into the top portion of the end cap there, right there. and then your drive spring goes into the center section. Most of the time I try to leave the springs in the end cap, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So just make sure that you do get those springs in the right location. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our receiver here. I usually like to take the safety out and put it into the left half receiver. Makes it a little bit easier to install. Just go ahead and get that lined up. Drop it back down onto the receiver. And we'll just go ahead and tighten this back up. Just go back through and kind of check your work. Make sure your bolt is engaging correctly. And then we're going to go ahead and flip it to the opposite side. From there, you're going to use your RT screwdriver that came in the package, and you're going to remove any one of these two shut-off plugs. This is actually an air port that supplies the air to the gas line for your response trigger. So we're just going to go ahead and remove one of these. Like I said, it does not matter which one. You can use either or, top or bottom. In this case, I'll be using the bottom one. And then I usually like to just use my finger to get it started. And then from there, you can use your RT screwdriver just to kind of get that snug down. And these don't have to be really tight. They just need to be snug. There's O-rings that are on the back side of these fittings that will help seal it. So you don't have to wrench down on it. If you do, you run the risk of, possibly breaking the fitting. So you don't want to over tighten these. And then you can use, a crescent wrench or a 5/16 nut driver to actually snug this fitting down. And you could use either a flathead or a 1/4 inch nut driver to snug this fitting down. And now that we have this installed, we can go ahead and flip it back over, reinstall our barrel, and that's how you install the response trigger kit onto your Tippmann 98 Custom Platinum Series.